This is the Realistic Runner, Alex. I'm here with Scott.
Hi.
And we're going on just a quick run. We're trying to get in between rain showers. So we'll see how long this goes. But we're shooting for about 25 minutes. We'll go this way. Oh boy. So the main topic I have today, last time I talked about stretching before a run. This time I want to talk a little bit about stretching after a run, which is more important. Most people say it's more important than stretching before a run. And this time I want to start off with how it relates to life challenges versus, and we can talk about the stretching later, because that's really less important. But the way I view it, as far as running goes, you stretch after a run because you're trying to get ready to transition back from a long endurance activity to regular life where you're walking, sitting at a computer, that kind of stuff. But it's important to transition correctly. And I think one of the main things that I've seen with how that relates to regular life is the transition periods that we go through throughout our day. Big one is waking up in the morning and transitioning from sleep to starting your workday. It can be a rough one. And another important one for me, at least, is the transition from leaving work to getting home. Because as I'm sure is common with most people, it's a very big difference when you're at work. When you're at work, you're dealing in a more professional manner. You say only certain things to certain people, and sometimes you're probably alone a lot. I know I've had periods of my work career where I'm alone all day, just working on a computer. And coming home can be a pretty rough transition if you don't prepare for it correctly. So one of the ways that I prepare to come home and transition from my higher performance mode to a more family relaxed mode is podcasts. Podcasts, when I'm driving home, I'm usually listening to a podcast, although now I'm kind of on a audiobook kick, but it's the same thing. You can take your mind out of the professional mindset and go into something completely different. And I think that helps calm you from stresses at work. Another good way is music. I haven't listened to music in the car for a long time, so mainly because I have a 95 Honda Civic that all 4 speakers are blown, and if there's any music playing at all, it will pop and crackle. So I've kind of been forced into podcast world, which is great. And but music can be good way to transition. Another great one is, if you can, bike to and from work. That gives your mind, I guess, a break to work on something like breathing, the burn in your legs. And it, just like running, if you run daily or a few times a week, it can really help with stress. And I think the same thing goes true of like biking home. If you're biking home, you are able to kind of combine the time that you would be sitting in traffic with some exercise time. And so, yeah, those are some simple topics. Not that there's nothing revolutionary there. Do you have any transition ideas, Scott?
I guess the main thing I would say that I try to do is obviously most of us have email on our phones, so I have my ribbon notifications turned off on my work email account. So I can still check it if I know there's something pending that I had to keep an eye out for, but like if I'm at dinner with my wife, I try not to check it and get distracted by a ribbon that comes up or a vibration. So that's probably my main one.
So that's on iPhone. And then can you Do you have to manually go in and change that?
Yeah, I just have
each day?
Yeah, I just have it set to no ribbons, noise, or vibration, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's pretty much just looks like it's not receiving anything until I open it.
Oh, yeah.
So it works pretty well for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. The I guess like I talked about the transition in the morning, because that can be such a crucial one for a lot of people. It's a good time to get out and run if you can do it. I've never found very good success with that.
Me either.
It's just getting up early.
It's hard.
It's hard, and
especially here in Oregon when it's cold a lot of the year
and dark.
Yeah,
it's really hard, and treadmills can be a really good solution for that. And I'm working with a guy from Nautilus to try to get me a treadmill so I can continue doing a vlog like this.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. And maybe even review a few treadmills, that'd be kind of cool. But my morning routine is I get up and I shower immediately. And this probably isn't the best routine, but it's what I've always done. And it's a short, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, where I shower, eat, pack lunch, get dressed, go to work. But I read this book. It's called Free to Focus by Michael Hyatt. And this was at the start of my most recent book sprint that I'm on right now of trying to read 60. And it's about productivity and how focus is so important, particularly now with all the digital distractions we have all the time. And he sells a journal that I have two of them, because most journals, or I guess planners, he sells a planner. Most planners are yearly, but his are quarterly, and they're really expensive. They're about $40 a pop.
Wow.
And but the way he has them laid out is really good. You kind of have to focus on the way that he tells you to do it in the book, but once you do it, I found a lot of success where I found that each day you try to get a weekly or a daily big three. So what are the highest leverage items that you can get done today, and just do those. And that way you don't have 10 things on your to-do list, and like most of them don't really move the needle for your productivity or the projects you have. And I found that to be very useful. Right now I'm a social media manager for a major sheriff's office, and project management was a new thing when I got this job, and it's been very helpful to break it down into 3 huge things, and then all the other little things either push off, have somebody else do, or don't do them at all. And connecting back to the transitions, he has a workday startup and a workday shutdown routine. I think that's what they're called. Maybe it's workday cool off, but he recommends you write that out at the beginning of each journal, what that process is, and do that half an hour when you get to work, and then a half an hour before you leave. You stop your projects that you're working on and you go right into that. And honestly, it's been a game changer for me, because I have emails, social media, and make sure that my high leverage items are on my list. Those are both my startup and my cool down. And what that helped me with is not checking email all day, maybe doing one check in like the middle of the day, but I'm not constantly being distracted by some email coming through that says, oh, I need this now, and it derails me from my projects. And one of the other things is that as a social media manager, I'm not immune to the distraction capabilities that social media does to us. So I found myself following loopholes on Twitter about reading what people were saying, and absolute waste of time. So I check the social media at the beginning and the end of the day, unless there's a major event going on. And that has been a game changer, where now I'm able to more focus on the projects that I have. And it's been really good. So I'd recommend that book, Free to Focus. I'll put a link in the description, and I'll even put a link to the journals. And I'm not an affiliate or anything. I just think it's good for people to, maybe one day I will be, but as of right now I'm not, and I just think it's been very helpful for me. What's your morning routine?
Needed a minute for that, but I was going to add something about your multitasking is or about your day planning. Was I'm in my bachelor's program right now, finishing up my degree. I'll be done in December, and one thing that's been really helpful for me is I have set blocks of time. Like, I make myself work on a task. Like, I pretty much always do my papers throughout the week. I don't do it all in one sitting very often. So I'll say, last week I said I'm gonna work on this paper for 45 minutes and see how much I can get done. Without my phone, without just music. Because it helps me get into the zone, but no podcast, no YouTube, no nothing. And I was able to get 2 full, pretty decent pages written in 45 minutes of a 6-page paper. So, you know, I feel like mentally it helps to just be like, this next 45 minutes is for my paper and my paper only. So that's helpful for me.
Yeah.
I believe it was a Jordan Harbinger new podcast I've discovered recently. Try to link that one too if I can find the specific episode. But he talked about how multitasking is kind of a buzzword in today's culture, and it's a lot of times a bad thing.
Yeah.
That we actually accomplish less.
Yep.
We're multitasking because most of the time you can't actually do 2 things at once.
Yeah.
So important to remember to, if you have 30 browser tabs open, you can only be on one screen at a time.
Yeah. And that describes me for sure, that I have so many tabs open, and I have found that to be very, very much true, that if you are trying to do 2 things at once, it's oftentimes neither of them get done very efficiently.
Yeah.
Probably more or less efficiently than if you had just done one at a time.
Yeah. Also, Alex and I are both big fans of Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
And it kind of relates to, if you're familiar with the debt snowball, you kind of look at your tasks that way too. Like, which task has the most, like, soonest deadline, or which is most important, or which will take the most time. Try to attack, try to balance your projects out. So if distracting you, like if you're taking out the trash is distracting you from your term paper, maybe take out the trash, get the mental checklist in your mind of getting something accomplished, and then work on your paper.
Yeah.
Don't let those little things distract you from your big goals.
Yeah. Mental momentum, it's a thing. If you watch NFL at all, you'll notice that momentum is real. You'll have a team that is much better than the other team, and it's clear. Everybody knows it. Everybody knew it before the game even started.
Yeah.
But sometimes at halftime, a coach can go in and say something, have a good pep talk, and once they get that momentum, they can win.
Yeah.
And the Dave Ramsey Snowball method is awesome for building momentum, mental momentum.
Totally. Whew.
Yeah, we're moving at a pretty good clip here.
Yeah, not too bad. This is my second run of 2020, so
mine too.
Give me 4 months here. I'll be a little bit more impressive.
Yeah. So Scott, why don't you tell people a little bit about your running career or your running journey?
Okay. So when I met Alex, 2007, I was a junior in high school, and I was really overweight. I'm about 6'2", and I was about 280 pounds back then. In high school, post-high school, when I was done playing sports and taking weight training classes, I got up to at least 301 pounds was my high weight.
301.
I think it was higher than that, but that was the
only confirmed.
The only time I went to the doctor and stepped on a scale for years. I started exercising with Alex. We did Beachbody. Would not recommend, but anything's always better than nothing.
Yeah.
And then, so eventually started running with Alex. Knew that he ran marathons and he was a competitive runner in high school. So started running, and he was gracious and patient with me, and I still can't keep up, but I ended up through various dedicated workout, I got down to, I lost 127 pounds total.
Wow.
So
you were down to like
I was 174?
Yeah, and that's
something like that.
If you want to have some perspective, I'm 175 right now.
Yeah.
So, and that's nearly half your body weight gone.
Yeah. So, I'm not that light anymore. I've tried I'm a lot more of a strength trainer now.
Yeah.
So I like to think some of it's muscle, but
Well, it is. I mean, it's been winter. It's February right now, and I hadn't seen Scott not wearing a sweatshirt for a long time. And then it was last week we went out for a run. You took your sweatshirt off. I was like, "Oh, he's put on some pounds as far as muscle goes."
Yeah, thank you.
And that's something also that's important for a lot of people. A lot of people view themselves as a particular body type.
Yeah.
And they're definitely there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
But you can, like, he's running right now. He's not necessarily built to be a runner.
Yeah.
But he's doing it, and he's running at sub 9-minute miles is what we're at now.
Yeah, I would say that with any goal in life, but like, don't allow yourself to. There's the Samantha types, they're called, which is, you can look up, Google Samantha type, you'll find all kinds of information. But essentially, there's 3 body types. There's ectomorph, which is like a naturally skinnier guy like Alex.
Yeah.
There's mesomorph, who's naturally muscular. And there's endomorph, who's naturally more heavy. So for the longest time, I thought I was an endomorph, and there's nothing I could do about it. But it doesn't matter where you started. Don't say, I'm overweight, I can't run.
Yeah.
Just, if you want to be better at running, run.
Yep.
If you want to be better at lifting weights, lift weights. Like, don't fall into those boxes.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
Yeah, it's true. I think that there's something to be said for playing to your own strengths. Totally. Because I wanted to be buff, and so I started lifting weights, and I eventually, I continually injured myself. But that's not because I'm the skinny one?
Ectomorph.
That wasn't because I was a ectomorph, because I didn't have proper training.
Yeah.
I probably wasn't doing the exercises right, but at the time, I was like, well, I'm just an ectomorph. I can't lift weights, I can't build muscle. And my dad even told me that one time he apologized to me when I started lifting weights the first time back in high school. He's like, sorry, son, we just can't put on muscle.
Yep.
And I believed him. But I think that if I wanted to, I could. And I think same is true for anybody, whether if you want to run, you can do it.
Yeah.
You want to lift weights, you want to get buff, you can do it. Check out, I don't remember the name of the guy, but it's the 5x5 workout.
Oh yeah.
And that's, you can say what you want about that program. I think it's a pretty good, simple program.
Amazing starter program.
Yeah, amazing starter program. But in his personal story, he talks about that very thing, about being skinny, and how he told himself those lies about how he can't put on muscle. And then he was like, you know what? I want to try. And he did, and now he's probably making good amounts of money from his program for the 5x5.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, the app is awesome.
Yeah. I think that's something that we're getting better at as a society, is not, still problems obviously, but comparing yourself to others. At the same time, compare yourself to yourself, but
yeah,
don't be down on yourself because of where you started.
Yep.
If I did that, I'd still be 300 pounds.
Yeah, compare yourself to your yesterday self.
Yeah. Not this is my body, I'm stuck with it, I can't do anything to change it.
Yeah. And don't get on the gram and start looking at how other people look on there, because that's not who you should be comparing yourself to.
Yeah.
Because those guys have been doing that, either running, endurance running, or lifting weights, doing yoga, whatever your flavor is. They've been doing that for years.
A lot of times 10 plus years.
10 plus years. Have you been running for 10 years?
No.
No, I haven't. Well, I've been running casually, but I wouldn't say that I was dedicated to it enough to say that I have, I didn't reach my full potential. I just didn't try.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think way too many people, like, kind of a different example, but like for me, I'm dyslexic. For the longest time, I told myself I couldn't do well in school because I was dyslexic.
Oh, wow.
But you just have to find other ways. I discovered, thankfully, with technology e-readers, textbooks that read to me.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I use right now. Like Alex saying, audiobooks, that kind of thing. But you can't let your challenges be the reason that you never try to succeed.
Yep. And like, I knew you were dyslexic, but I didn't know that you told yourself that, like, in school.
Oh yeah, definitely when I was a kid, for sure.
Huh.
Still struggle with it.
Yeah. Well, and he's about 9 months away from being a bachelor degree holder.
Yep, Lord willing.
So he found ways through technology and just good old-fashioned hard work to get past some of his disabilities, if you want to call it that. I mean, it is a disability. I don't know how bad. Would you consider it a disability for you?
I mean, I really try not to make it one, but I never took any formal tests.
Yeah.
It just was like, when I was a little kid, he's probably on this dyslexic scale somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing crippling.
Yeah.
But definitely a slow reader.
Yeah.
If you want to hear, we've kind of sprayed out some topics today. If you want to hear more about any of them, just comment below.
Yes, please.
We'd love to go into more detail.
Yes, and on that note, comment and let me know how we can make these videos better, because that's my goal, is to help people run through, or actually help people with their complex life problems through the physical and pretty natural art of running. So if this format doesn't work, please tell me. I want to make it better. I want to be able to reach more people and help more people. So put a comment in the YouTube comments or on the blog or on the Facebook post and let me know how I can make it better. On that note, I think we'll start to slow it down a little bit and catch our breaths. Yeah. But I started talking in my last video about my running career, and I think I stopped the run before I got to the crescendo.
Oh.
So I talked about how I sucked at track in high school and how I got better when I was in the Army, and then finally, I guess the high point of my running career was I did Portland Marathon in 2011, I think. It's like 9 years ago now.
That's crazy.
But I did that, and at the time I was using Nike Plus, which this is also a marker of the time. A little, for those of you who may not know, it's a little disc that you put in your Nike running shoe. They had a little spot in all the Nike running shoes that you could pull out the sole, pull out the little foam insert, and you dropped the little sensor in there. And then you had this like dongle that plugged into the bottom of your iPod, and then it recorded the stats from your run on your iPod, and then you plugged your iPod into your computer and downloaded the data to Nike. And kind of a hokey system, but it was keeping track of my runs. And that was really before, well, I don't know. I guess I never even looked into anything else. But I didn't calibrate it, and that was a big problem because I've got pretty long legs. And since I didn't calibrate it, I didn't know how long my stride was. And what that translated to, it was telling me I was slower than I was. So if you've ever been in any of like the longer races, there's little guys in some of the bigger ones that hold signs that have their pace, and they run at a certain pace. so you can run with the speed you think you are. So I was thinking I was going to run a 10-minute mile throughout the marathon. And so I lined up with everybody at the 10-minute mile mark, and then it was a jog. And I broke.
It's like we've been doing that right now.
Yeah, it was about this pace. And we're exactly at 10-minute miles. And I was like, well, this is not how fast I've been training. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to my regular pace and just see how far up I can go. So I started going, passing the guys with the little placards with the time, and eventually I wound up sub 9, and I finished the marathon at 3 hours and 42 or 47 minutes, something like that. And my goal was sub 4, and I got it. And had I started at the correct pace marker, I probably would have been a little faster. Since after the marathon, I really stopped running for off and on. I ran a little bit, but I was never doing like 15-mile Saturdays. But where I find myself now is just kind of running 3 miles here, 3 miles there, 5K here, 10K there, and but I'm getting into it more seriously because I miss the stress relief that comes from running, and the camaraderie,
yeah.
Running with Scott.
Totally.
And it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt that it's March.
Yeah.
And weather's starting to get nicer, and we even got some blue sky today.
Still February.
Still February, yeah. A few more days. But yeah, so we're walking now, which isn't a bad technique for at the end of your run, is to slow down to a walk.
Starting to get that transition period.
Yeah. Starting to transition from pretty good endurance activity, even though we run 3 miles.
Yeah, that's like 27 minutes.
We're getting there, but no matter
we
how
barely did 20 last weekend.
yeah, no matter how far you run, if it was hard for you, give yourself some credit and give yourself some grace, saying, hey, I did it and I pushed myself. And that's where we're at now. Some of the people I follow on Instagram and on Facebook, they're running sub 6 minute, sub 7 minute miles for 10 miles, and I'm like, oh man, I kind of want to beat myself up for it, but that was hard, and I think we did pretty good.
Yeah,
actually helps to be on the talk.
Yeah, it went by fast.
Yeah. Let's see, I guess in this last part of the episode we can talk about stretching after a run. I don't need to show you because I think that wouldn't make for a very good video. Me stretching. If I was a girl, that might be better.
Probably get more likes.
Put the camera behind me.
Yeah.
But so I like to do quad stretches where you pull, your leg behind your knee. Hamstring stretches, calf stretches.
Do you do like a count for how long?
Actually, maybe you have some better insight on that. I've gone with the Tony Horton P90X and the Sean T25 style, where you kind of you do the double pull, where you're kind of doing like a pull and then pull back and forth.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas on this?
I try to make it. Usually you're pretty loose after a workout, so I try to use it as flexibility time as well. And touching my toes, try to go a little bit slower than the day before.
Yeah.
Things like that. But
yeah. Yeah, I think that covers it. If you want to learn more about stretching after it, there's a lot of great blogs. I'll put one on my blog about my top 3 stretches after a run. But it just doesn't take more than a Google search to find a good stretch for you after a run. But that's not why we're here. We're talking more about the life issues. So hopefully that helps somebody. And let me know if it did. Let me know if there is something you wanted to hear more about in the comments. Send me a message. And thanks for watching. This is Alex, Realistic Runner, and Scott.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks.